Hey, I'm Jimmy O Yang, and this is the Wired Autocomplete interview. Can't say I've Googled myself. No, actually, I've actually Googled myself many times. All right, very excited about this. How did Jimmy O Yang become famous? People Google this? Like, how did he become famous? It's different for different people. Usually when white people come up to me, they say, oh, Silicon Valley, Jing Yang, hilarious. When Asian people come up to me, they know me from stand-up, they know me from Crazy Rich Asians. A lot of immigrants come up to me, like Chinese immigrants, Japanese, they're like, your stand-up special got, subtitled and translated in Chinese, and that's how I know you. And a lot of times Chinese people, they call stand-up comedy talk shows. They're like, we love your talk shows. Oh, and a lot of girls, younger, older, come up to me because of Love Heart, this rom-com I did with Nina Dobrev on Netflix. So fame is in the eye of the beholder. Was Jimmy O Yang in Patriots Day? Yes, that was actually one of my proudest projects to date, based on real life movie about the Boston Marathon bombing, which is a very dark day in our country. And I get to play this character, Danny Mang, that kind of became the hero and saved the day. He was a Chinese immigrant student, and he got carjacked and kidnapped by the Boston bombers, and he ran away, escaped, and was able to call the cops, remember his tag numbers, and that's how they found the two bombers that led to the shootout in Watertown and the capture of these bombers. So I get to kind of talk to and interview Danny every day. I had a great time in Boston, and I thought it was just such an important story, and it was the first drama I did. And Peter Berger was a great director, and it was good to kind of prove to myself that I could be a good dramatic actor, and it gave me a lot of confidence in that sense, but also it was just such a great story to tell. Jimmy O Yang, dad joke. Who Googles that? Jimmy O Yang dad joke. I do have a lot of jokes about my dad, and those have become some of the most popular jokes. And yeah, my dad is just naturally like a pretty funny, charismatic person, pretty easy to make fun of. He started acting after I did, and that is true. Now he's a full-on SAG actor. We just recently did a commercial together. He loves it. At times I'm like, is this kind of seeping into my life a little too much? Like, is he overstepping as a father? But I love it. I love it. Jimmy O Yang. Oh, I don't know. I think that's a line maybe I said in my stand-up, or my character Jing Yang has said on Silicon Valley. I'm not so sure how that became a top search, but that's a really interesting phrase, because for every character I play on TV, on film, I try to have a mantra. Right before every scene when I was that Jing Yang character, I would say I don't know in Chinese. 我不知道, 我不知道, 我不知道. Either he doesn't care to know, or he doesn't care about these people to know, or he truly is a bit lost. So that was kind of like my mantra for the Jing Yang character is, I don't know. Thank you very much. Does Jimmy O Yang sing in Love Heart? Yes, I do. That was actually my voice. I impressed myself. I didn't think I was that good of a singer, but it all came together pretty well. We pre-recorded the song in the studio. This is the remix of the lyrics of Baby It's Cold Outside to a more appropriate lyrics, and it's me and Nina Dobrev doing a kind of duet. Jimmy O Yang. Economics. Is it like searching Jimmy O Yang net worth? Like, I do that all the time. My dad does that to me. He'll be like, oh, your net worth went up? I'm like, I wouldn't listen to any of these sites. But Jimmy O Yang economics, I'm pretty sure it's because I was an econ major in college. I went to school in UC San Diego. I went in as a mechanical engineering major, and I was too much of a slacker. I never went to class. I was smoking too much weed. And I was like, I'm never gonna graduate as a mechanical engineer. So I picked the easiest major that would still appease my Asian parents, which was economics. Jimmy O Yang, this is a long one, it seems. Disappointing Asians. That's not what it seems, okay? I don't think I've disappointed any Asians. I hope I made Asians out there proud. But this was the subtitle of my book, which is How to American, the Immigrant's Guide to Disappointing Your Parents. I think there's a lot of jokes about me disappointing my parents, being a disappointing Asian to my parents. I hope that's what it means. I hope I'm not actually out there disappointing Asian people. I started doing stand-up, and that's not a very Asian thing. You know, that's not something that my parents consider as a real job. They wanted me to be in finance, in, to be a lawyer, doctor, like real jobs to them. So me being a stand-up and actor, I disappointed them for many, many years. But like I said in my book, to me, it was better to disappoint my parents for a couple years than to disappoint myself for the rest of my life. So I had to take a risk, take a chance, and try something that I love. Jimmy O Yang, jacket. This became a thing. The kind of light blue jacket I wore on my second special, Guess How Much. It was a really cool jacket and a lot of people start Googling where I got it from. I don't even know where I got it from. It was a brand that my stylist at the time hooked me up with. And I think it was a Chinese brand that has since went out of business. Of course, if there's enough demand, I think there's now a site that sells the Jimmy O Yang Guess How Much jacket, like a bootleg one. Let's see. When did Jimmy O Yang start comedy? I started stand-up comedy when I was 21 years old, junior year of college. This is when you could go into a comedy club. Anybody usually under age of 21, you have to wait outside a comedy club and then get in your set when it's your turn. So it's been 2 years. I've only been doing comedy for 2 years. I'm 23 years old. When did Jimmy O Yang start acting? I started acting maybe a couple years after I started stand-up, probably like 15 years ago now, yeah. There's a lot of things that are similar, you know, the charisma on stage, the command of the stage. I think that translates oftentimes on camera. Stand-up is a stage act and it's a vocal act. You want to project, you want to touch the audience in the balcony, right? Whereas acting, oftentimes, especially TV, film acting, it's very close on your face and it's about what's going on inside. It's a little more internal. And one of the things I noticed for me and many stand-ups, the hardest part to learn, and maybe in life, is to listen to your partner. Because stand-up, it's all you're one person by yourself, whereas acting, it's about the connection with you and your partner. So I learned to be a better listener, which is probably good for my life in general. Where was Jimmy O Yang Guess How Much filmed? My second comedy special called Guess How Much. It was filmed in Austin, Texas. And it was actually a really interesting and fun thing because Austin is not as Asian as most of my crowds. It leaned more white. And the cool part was the jokes still hit. You know, like my jokes weren't just for the Asian people. So that felt good. I knew if that was gonna work in Austin, it was gonna work for most people in America. And of course, it ended up working not just in America, like around the world. Like a lot of it got translated into Chinese and it's played in China and Hong Kong and Taiwan, and a lot of places in Asia. I got people telling me from China that's how they started learning English from my stand-up special. So that felt pretty special to me. I'm breaking lights over there. Jimmy O Yang, I love you. Is this just a fan like hoping they'll get to me and says, Jimmy O Yang, I love you? That's very sweet. I appreciate that. But I think it's actually based on one of my jokes where I say, Asian, we don't really say I love you to our parents. The joke goes that one time in college I got high and I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I just want to tell you that I love you. And then she started crying. She was like, Jimmy, are you okay? Do you have cancer? Jimmy O Yang. Improv. I improvise a lot on Silicon Valley, on Space Force, and a lot of comedy projects I do, and even dramatic stuff. You know, we find rooms to improvise, which is fun, and it's cool, and it gets you into the character, into the story. But also, the Improv is one of my favorite comedy clubs in LA and all over the world. I try all my materials there before I take it on the road. And big shout out to Rita at the Improv, who's been the booker there for a long, long time, and she has made a lot of people stars and given them the opportunity. Jimmy O Yang, Jing Yang. That was the character I played on Silicon Valley for 6 seasons. I started off as just a very tiny part, 2 lines in one episode, and it became 2 lines in 3 different episodes, and by the second season, I became a series regular. And there was a whole like villain arc with Jing Yang. At first he started off as kind of just like a random person that lives in the incubator, played by TJ Miller and his character Ehrlich Bachman. And they start standing up to Ehrlich, and we had this very cool Laurel and Hardy kind of comedy duo. And there was a lot of improvisation, a lot of fun, a lot of great scenes that is still very fond in my memory. Jimmy O Yang, Interior Chinatown. That is the new show I'm gonna be on. I feel like everything I've worked for in my career, it's all in the show. It's really interesting. It's kind of like Truman Show. It's about a background actor, played by me, Willis Wu. He's stuck in a show that's similar to a Law and Order, but he doesn't know it. He just doesn't know how to get out of his role in Chinatown, and there's like a ceiling, there's a glass window, he just can't get out of it. At the same time, he's dealing with a lot of stuff with his family, his disappearance with his brother, so he starts uncovering the mystery. By doing so, he has to sneak in to the actual Law and Order show. So episode by episode, he goes from a background actor to a guy having 2 lines to actually the tech guy, which is like my journey in my life too. It's kind of like Law and Order meets Twilight Zone. Was Jimmy O Yang in Crazy Rich Asians? Yes, I was. I played this character, Brunette, the crazy kind of billionaire playboy, and I had so much fun. And we're still all best friends. I actually just went out to dinner with Awkwafina and Ronnie, and we still have like 100 people group chat on WhatsApp. Jimmy O Yang, love languages. My best love language is acts of service. You know, I love cooking. That's what my parents did for me. You know, and I love, you know, just doing things, fixing things. And words of affirmation, I didn't think it was important to me, but I think it is, you know. That's why I think I'm a stand-up. You get the live audience reaction. Every laughter is a word of affirmation for me. And sometimes if I don't do stand-up for a prolonged period of time, I don't get the immediate feedback, the accolades, I start to wilt a little bit. And I think that's every artist, you know. We want our work to be seen and to be loved. But at the same time, I'm also learning to be a little self-love, that you don't need the external validation. You do a lot of these projects, these art projects, for yourselves. And if it's good enough for me, I had a great time. That's the most meaningful part of it. Jimmy O Yang, LinkedIn. I don't think I have a LinkedIn account. I never had like a real job. My first high school job was, I worked at Big Five Sporting Goods, a discount sporting goods store. I loved it. I worked there for many summers. I was a waiter for a Chinese restaurant. I was a used car salesman. I was once a strip club DJ. So I don't think any of those things go on LinkedIn. I don't think my LinkedIn says strip club DJ at Fantasy Showgirls in San Diego. Jimmy O Yang, chicken wings. Oh, I know what this is about. During the pandemic, I started a little cooking show called Jimmy's Kitchen on YouTube. And it was really cool, actually. I get to learn how to cook with the people and then teach people some things that I learned. And I also got really into the food space. I wrote a quarterly column on Bon Appetit. I wrote about my hate for boneless wings, how they're not wings. They're just little cut up pieces of white meat chicken lies. Chicken wings, if you really go for the chicken wings, get the bones, get the flavor, not just little chunks of meat. That's for babies. And then, years later, recently, I did a commercial for Popeye's boneless wings. So for the right price, I'm ready to sell out at any time. That's the moral of the story. No, it was actually, they let me try their wings and it was actually so good. I was like, yeah, sure, like, this is actually legit boneless wings. Jimmy O Yang, Kuman. As you know, Kuman's like an after school kind of tutoring, like thing a lot of Asian people go to. I don't know if you guys seen the Kuman logo, but even the logo itself looks miserable. It's just an emoji, like a 2 dots in a line, but it's not even like a happy face. It's just like, I guess I'm a Kuman and my life sucks. Jimmy O Yang, TikTok. I didn't really know about TikTok and then people start telling me about it and we started uploading just some clips of my stand-up on it and it blew up. Now I got like 4 million or maybe 5 million followers on TikTok and it's just been a great space, great outlet for my stand-up comedy. I would argue that maybe more people saw my comedy special on TikTok than on Amazon Prime when it came out. And it's really cool. It's reaching a younger generation. Also, there'll be kids coming up to me, like little 12-year-old kids, like, oh my God, I love you. You're the TikTok comedian. I love you on TikTok. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. Like a TikTok comedian somehow sounds kind of weird, but sure. And that's all the boards. It was kind of interesting. I didn't realize people would Google Jimmy O Yang, I love you. And maybe I would start typing in my own Google search, Jimmy O Yang, I love you. And that's how I practice self-love. So till next time, thank you very much, Wired.